As soon as I get into the room, the doctor's like, "Oh, have a seat," and she's like, "You might have cancer," just like that.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Side of Kimchi podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and today I have a special guest here with me. Hey Jam.
It's good.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Yes, you too. And we have a lot to get into today. But before we do that, we gotta say goodbye to kimchi. And so you've never tried kimchi?
Ever in my life. So I'm kind of excited, a little nervous to try the kimchi. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm excited.
I think it's just cause I'm Korean, but when half of my guests that have been on here, they haven't tried kimchi either. And I'm thinking, this is like a staple in Korea. So when I hear like people who've like never tried it, I'm like, y'all need to get out more. But it's just cause I'm Korean. So I can't really say that, but.
Man, I already know my girl gonna be tight, cause like I told you, she be wanting me to try new things.
And you don't be.
I don't be with it. I be.
All right. Well, I hope you like it. Here, I'll open it. And I'll let you take the first bite. Grab any piece.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that's bomb.
Really?
That's bomb.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. It's cabbage. So if you like cabbage and kind of like pickled stuff, I don't see why you wouldn't.
It's bomb. It's bomb.
Okay. So Jam, I don't even remember the last time we've seen each other.
Yeah, it's probably since school for real. Maybe a little bit after, like in passing, but.
And I keep forgetting that you graduated like 2011. I don't know why I thought you were just a year older. So then I was like thinking back, like, where did Jam go? But whole time you just graduated years before our class did, but you did hang out with a lot of people in our class.
Yeah, I had friends, I feel like, in all classes.
Okay.
But Shanae was really like my homie, and I remember her being a part of y'all class, y'all all being friends.
Shout out to Shanae.
Shout out to Shanae. And Josh, too. Like,
Yeah.
Josh lived in our neighborhood. You lived in my neighborhood, so we were over, rode the school bus and
Yes,
stuff.
right. And yeah, so I haven't seen you in over a decade,
Yeah,
this is like our first time like catching up.
yeah.
And so what's nice about social media is that you can keep up with people and what they're going through. And so I want to say, like, it was a while ago, I came across your post about something that you went through in July of last year.
Yes.
So 2023.
Yes.
Can you walk us through? So I only know from what you put in the social post. So whatever you're about to say, like, this is my first time hearing it too. So can you tell us what happened in July in 2023?
Yeah. Mainly what you read in the post, it was me being transparent.
Yeah.
So was going to the doctor, annual physical, like we all would. Got my urine and blood samples checked, all of this stuff. Get little things that I wanted to make sure I was, concerned about. And I go, leave, come back a couple days later because I get a call. They're like, "Oh, we need you to come in," and that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
Right? Like getting called back to the doctor instead of them just calling you, telling you you're good.
The results, right?
So I was a little concerned there. So I went back. I think it was a couple days later. And as soon as I get into the room, the doctor's like, "Oh, have a seat," and she's like, "You might have cancer." Just like that. Just straight out, just like that.
It wasn't a build up, no.
No, straight, just sit down. She turns around and she's like, "You might have cancer." And I was just like, oh. Like, it kind of hit me a little different, like, because...
That bedside manner is not that...
For a doctor, like...
Right!
You know what I mean? Like, so that was the build-up itself right there. So I asked, I'm like, okay, so... Because I'm still kind of shocked. I'm like, do I? Or, like, are you telling me I might and we have to do some testing? Like, what are the... She's like, yeah, we're gonna do some tests, have you come, these couple of weeks to run some tests and check on you. I'm like, okay. That's a little better, because just telling me,
that you straight up have it. Like, it's 100% right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how we kind of break that. I leave a little frustrated or whatever. I think it was like a week later. I'm going for one of the tests. I think I was getting like an MRI or a CAT scan or something.
Okay.
And And this is for in my stomach, by the way. Like,
Yeah, I was about to ask what kind of cancer were they saying that you might have?
they didn't say specifically. She just told me cancer.
Cancer,
And I was just
okay.
like, okay, but we were going for stuff regarding my
stomach,
I
okay.
have IBS, but I was having more like health issues with it.
Gotcha.
So I go back on my way to the hospital because I was going to Southside Regional for this test.
Okay, and that's it, the one in Petersburg?
Petersburg.
Okay.
If you in the Richmond, Virginia area, do not go to Southside Regional. I promise you.
Oh my gosh, people used to like clown me when I took when no, sorry. It was the other way around. I think people used to clown people who were born at John Randolph, versus Southside, because I was born in Southside, so I was like, oh, I'm good. But now you're saying it's not that.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Well, so the point she just made, John Randolph is now Tri-Cities Hospital in Hopewell.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh, I did know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got like I have Tri-Cities like GI that I go to, so like they're all interconnected.
Gotcha,
All
right.
Like for the most part.
Okay.
Like they're all right. But Southside, absolutely not. At least for this experience that I've had. You know what I mean? Don't want to speak on anybody's profession, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so on my way to the hospital to get this test, I get right off the highway. I'm close, maybe like 10 minutes away or whatever. And I get off the highway, and this highway, it's somewhere in Petersburg, and I don't remember like the route or whatever. I think it's like 89 or like that.
Okay.
As I'm getting off, there's a stop sign there, and somebody didn't get off, like they didn't stop or yield or something, so they T-boned my car. And now it wasn't a crazy terrible accident, but he hit me hard enough, or I guess I should say I hit him hard enough to deploy 4 airbags in my car.
Right.
And my car was totaled.
And this was on the way to a follow-up appointment.
Yes. So this was on my way to get, I think it was like an MRI or a CAT scan just to check some more. Like I had one of the tests prior to that, they did more blood work on me. And then I think this was, like I said, a CAT scan because they were putting, like I had to not eat, they put radiation, take the radiation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, so I could only imagine like your anxiety was probably just through the roof on the way there anyways.
When man, I'm reliving it in my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was not only was I like anxious, but I was kind of pissed too, because I was just like, yo, like you have that woe is me, like what the, like
right, like why am I going through
you know
this?
what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and then you get in this car accident.
You feel me? So I was just over the day. So they put me in the ambulance and they take me to the hospital that I was going to anyway.
Right, yeah.
So I checked for my head. My back was off. I had to go to like my chiropractor for physical therapy for that. My leg was fucked up. That just had to heal on its own. And so it was just kind of traumatic. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like it was really a whole lot of, shit going on. No matter how much I try to minimize it, but
no, I mean, yeah, of course you could say that's traumatic. It sounds like it.
yeah, it was kind of wild. And so I get there, they check me, and then as the month goes on, I'm still going through all of these tests and everything like that. So it was a whole thing. Then physical therapy and yeah.
Right. So how long after? So okay, because after going through those tests, you ended up finding out that you didn't have cancer, right?
Yes.
So how long were you going through these tests?
Like a month.
Okay.
Like rigorously. Like so, like I was going like a couple of days this week. Then the next week I would go like a day. Then the following week it was like another couple of days.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
It was kind of rigorous.
And so, I think I'm kind of like skipping questions here, but when they told you that like you didn't have cancer, okay, no, sorry. Let's go back. During that month, when you were going through all these tests and then you got into that car accident,
yeah.
How was like your mental health at that time?
It was pretty shitty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty. It was. I wouldn't say it was bad because I've had it worse. To be quite honest, I've been to therapy and things like that.
Okay, before all this happened.
Yeah, and
gotcha.
after, of course, as well. But
right.
Just before this happened and stuff. So like, I mean, it's been worse, but it started to deteriorate like a little bit. Like, and it started to get back to the point that I've came so far from. And that's a sign that I didn't like the way I looked in the mirror, not just because of like the physical aspect, but like the mental aspect I was starting to, like you said, feel. So
yeah, and so when they told you like you could possibly have cancer, and then you were like taking in that news and you went home, are you kind of one of those people where like you think the worst? Or do you kind of look at the positive side of things?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like at first, I felt defeated. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, like I told you, like why is me? But after a while, I started to like kind of come to peace with it. Like I was
If
like,
you did end up having cancer.
yeah, and I even was like to at peace to the point where I can't speak for anybody who has cancer or has had it or what they've what their experiences have been through and things like that. But I was at a point where kind of like Steve Jobs, he was just like he didn't want to go through like any chemo or anything like that. That's kind of where I was at. Like I told my family, I was like, yo, if I do, like I probably won't fight it. Like it's my time at this point. Like I'm at peace with that. Like after the feeling of being defeated, I was just like, yo, like I'm kind of good. Like I'm alright. Like with the life that I've lived, I've been, you know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
I was at peace. I've been suicidal before, like I've been to therapy for that. So like coming through all of that to get to there, I was just like, yo, I'm good. Like I'm happy where I'm at. I'm content and I'm at peace.
Yeah, so you accepting it and like you're like, okay, this is gonna be my time. Like I'm not gonna go through any like chemo, like you said, or I think that's something that I kind of went through too. So I talked about this on another episode where I'm a hypochondriac. Like I literally am. So meaning that if I get one like symptom, like one health symptom, I'm thinking it's the worst. And then my anxiety like goes through the roof. So yeah, I've had a couple of like not health scares. Like it was just my mind thinking that I was like dying or something. But it really in reality it wasn't like that. It was just my anxiety. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Oh, I got to a point where like anytime I get like a symptom of my health or whatever, I kind of like accept it. I'm like, all right, if something is going to happen to me or if I have like this disease,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Where before I'm thinking like, no, I'm going to try to control what I can. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make this disease go away. And that was like what was like causing my anxiety to like get worse. But so after you got that news of like you possibly having cancer, and you getting in the car accident, how did that shift your perspective of life?
That's a great question. Like I kind of like how I told you, like I was just defeated for a while. Like that month it was going through it, you know what I mean? Like, but then halfway, maybe towards the later half, I just came like with all the testing and stuff. It kind of felt like I had it at that point, and I was just like, all right, well I'm at peace, and I'm okay with whatever like the outcome is. And my perspective of life was kind of just like, yo, I appreciate it. Like I appreciated life so much more. Like all the
Yeah.
little moments, like I think we take for granted because of social media, and you know me, I'm a I content create, so it's not like I don't like social media,
Right.
but I think we take advantage of it getting lost in our phones, or whatever platform we're on, and things like just the wind, like the breeze and the wind, like you know what I'm saying, like it's little things
Yeah.
like that. And I was just like, yo, I appreciate life on a whole different like level now. Like I meditate now, you know what I mean, like, or I try to at least, and things like that made me appreciate life more. Like so,
Yeah, even just like walking outside and it's a nice day, nice
I
weather.
appreciate the rain too. Like I mean, I hate it, but it's like, yo, like, all right, it's raining, like about to break the humidity or like something like that. Like,
Right.
I tried to like start looking at things more positive. Like, just how can I turn this negative into a positive?
Yeah, like you don't kind of waste time in your day of like being angry.
I try not to.
Try not to. Yeah.
Because it's not healthy. I feel like it's also not healthy to be always thinking positive. It's more
Because it's not realistic.
It's not. I try to come to terms with things, like be at peace with things. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. And so when, like you said, like when you got the news, you ended up accepting it. Like, okay, I lived the life that I wanted. So you, at that point in your life, which was what, last year, you didn't have any regrets in your life. Like you felt like you lived it to the fullest and did everything you wanted to do.
I wouldn't say that I have no regrets. I feel like you're supposed to live that life without regrets, but I also like feel like things happen. You know, like people sometimes think life is like this checklist, and it's like we're gonna have all of these goals that we accomplish, but like what you wanted at the end of that list, when you're halfway through, you might not even want the same things anymore. Like when I used to know you, I want to do music. You know what I mean? Like
Oh my gosh, I forgot that.
yeah, right. Like, and that's not even my life path anymore. Like that's not what I want in life anymore. So I feel like, yeah, like in a sense, yeah.
Yeah. So just going through all of this, like, do you find certain things are more important than what you thought were? Like, let's say, some people, they want to make a lot of money, or they want like a really nice house, cars, like material things. Just going through this, did you have any realizations like that's not really important, or more like relationships with the people I have and just how I feel about myself is more important than that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the money. Like for me, I love nice things, so I feel like I need to work hard because
Everyone does.
I want those luxurious
Exactly.
things. Like I
Right.
want that. Everybody does, but it came to a point like I'm not gonna beat myself up or judge myself or others for not having those things. Like, you know what I mean? Like I appreciate what I got when I got it, and my time will come when it comes. And then, like you said, like those relationships, like strengthening my relationship with my family, the friends that were closest to me. That really helped too. Like, getting through that actually as well. Like people that I had in my life that were just showing up, like it really kind of helped.
Yeah. And so basically, like the way how you dealt with the news and like the uncertainty of it, like how did you like kind of get through that? Like, was it therapy or was it just meditating? Like, because for me, I mean, as I told you, I get one symptom and I'm thinking I'm dying. So if someone was to tell me, hey, you might have cancer, just the type of person I am, I don't even think I could function. So how did you get through it?
So I was actually off of work at that time, so it kind of helped.
Okay, so
I
you
was,
didn't have to deal with that.
yeah, I mean, well, like, yeah, because of that, like I was on leave from work.
Okay, gotcha.
Plus the car accident, so it kind of like, I guess, balanced out in a sense with,
Right.
with the work life. But really getting through it was to not feel that way, because I started to, like, I told you I started to feel defeated, but having people in my corner, like, and that's not always easy for somebody to hear, like, because not everybody has people or things
Right.
like that, but that's really what kind of helped me through it, to be quite honest, was like having like my mom. I mean, you kind of know my mom's a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
she's just a warrior at the end of the day, like of everything she's been through. So like, I always think about Big Sean song on One Man Can Change the World, where he's like, what his grandma went through, being like one of the first like black fighter pilots. Or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
or flight pilots or whatever, something like that. And if she had to go through this, how can he not go through more adverse, like, type shit? Like, and that's kind of what I think of, like, with my ancestors and my mom specifically. And then I had a mentor that he actually went through this. He actually went through it, and
Cancer.
Yeah, and way worse. Like, his whole life is like, and he's overtly positive. And apparently, I didn't know him before that, but apparently he was always like this. He's like Naruto positive. like I swear to you, like and you don't meet
It's like strange.
yes, and you don't meet people like that in life,
No.
like that just are at peace or are happy or can turn a negative into a positive, and not in like some weird like generic or like Bible-y like way or whatever. Like, it was like he's just a good person, no no judgment from like. And so having him in my life, like, and seeing what he's been through, or not seeing it, but like, hearing him and just having him there was another shout out to Josh, man. Josh, you good guy.
Yeah, I think like those type of people are,
Scary.
I mean, yeah, it's because like you said, like after going through all of that, like how are you so positive?
Yeah, he's been through some stuff, man. I'm not the type of
Yeah,
but,
no,
like,
no, right.
He's been through some, and so just
looking at him as like an example helped you, like, yo, if he went through all of that.
he got a good kid too. Like, his son, I think, is like 12, 13 or something like that. Getting into, maybe he's 14, getting into high school.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid. Like, just the way he raised this, I'm like, man, like, and especially in this day and age, you see a lot of like, it's a good dude. So having that person like that, along with my family, my friends, my lady, like, it all helped. It all helped.
Yeah, no, I realized that too. Like, as I got older, like, life would be so much harder if you didn't have those people in your corner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like, even with just, I know my mom and I, even with my dad, I was about to say my mom and I, we, butt heads here and there, but I was just thinking, I don't know what I would do without her. It's just like a good point that you made, is like having those people around you, and like, how would you have gone through it without them?
Yeah. I mean, individual, like, for myself, like
Yeah.
the only thing that really helped also was good distractions. I think people find distractions a lot of time negative, but like having healthy distractions are sometimes like if you're going through a heartbreak or like whatever, like a healthy distraction is good. Like going out with your friends, or
Right.
like playing the game. You know me, I'm a gamer.
Gamer, yeah.
Like play the game, like watch a show you like invest in those things that make you feel good. Those healthy distractions a lot of the time will help you get through things too. Like
So what were some of your healthy distractions during this time? Gaming.
games,
Okay.
shows, comics. I collect comics. I'm a big comic reader.
Okay.
Like kind of escapism almost.
Yeah.
Like, getting away from like the real life aspect. I'm not saying that's always a good thing either.
Right.
But like healthier distractions that made me feel like at that time, like, yo, I don't got to focus on the issue or pay attention to the issue, you know?
It's a good, like, having a good balance, I think, is like
Yeah.
key. Okay, so now going to the point where you found out you didn't have cancer, like, what went through your mind?
Relief.
Yeah, of
Almost
course.
like faith as well, like because I, you know, through that time, like I've had a touch and go, I would say, relationship with God, and I feel like a lot of us do, or whatever your belief is. I always tell people whatever you believe in, as long as you believe. I think believing is, even if it's just yourself,
Yeah.
having some type of belief system in yourself, a higher whatever,
Yeah.
is important. So I felt like that belief that I had in God strengthened for me.
Do you think it gave you strength during the time, like having that relationship with God?
Well, I had, it's crazy because I had a really good, like I still haven't gotten back to this point, but like during COVID days, I had like a really good relationship with God, like way better than I've ever had in my life, and I'm striving now
To get back to that
back
point.
to that point. It's very strong, but very tough. Excuse me, but because that was a strong relationship I felt like I had with God, and so. And I'm not that type to be like, you know, talking about like religion or anything like that. Like I said, whatever you believe in, as long as you believe.
Yeah.
But having that belief helped, like at that time, it helped me like get more faith after the fact, the sense of relief. And then also, I guess I was feeling more defeated than I thought, because I say I was at peace, and I was. But as soon as like I was told that I wasn't, it was like a sense of like I want everything, and they're not gonna tell me I can't have it at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like I felt like stronger than I ever felt at that point, which was weird. But
It's like you kind of are getting a second chance at life.
it was like a refresh button. Like it was like, you know, that everybody wants that to go back to where a certain point in their time, or if they can do it all over again.
Right.
Like, nah, I don't need to do it all over again because I got it right now, and I want it all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of where my
Right.
head was at, and it kind of still is. That's where my mentality is kind of.
Yeah, because this
helping.
just kind of happened.
It last like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, a year and a half ago almost. And so this year kind of leading out of 2023 and coming into 2024, it came like into a strong year. I just got a new job, like everything was. And so this year has been nothing, I mean, to be quite honest, but blessings. It's been a lot of striving towards bigger goals than I've ever had.
Yeah.
Things like that. So
And that's how you approach life now. Like, how did you, compared to like how you approached life before this all happened to now, what would you say is the difference?
I think I was a little bit more arrogant. I was a little bit more like, yeah, arrogant is the best. Like I felt like nobody couldn't tell me shit. Like I know it all, and I hate coming across that like that now. Like I hate feeling like I know it all or I'm holier than thou. And I feel like especially with the internet, a lot of people have that like uppityness to them. Like, and nah, like we all at the end of the day we all go in the same dirt or get cremated the same. You know what I mean? Like so for me, it's kind of just like. I hate when people say we bleed the same because reality is kind of don't. Like there's different races, different things like that.
Yeah.
But we all go in the dirt or die the same. So for me, it was kind of I have more arrogance. Now it's just like
You're more like humble.
I don't think humble people say that they're humble. I just feel like
Yeah.
I feel.
I mean, you can say you're more humble than before, I feel like.
yeah, but like I'm still. Arrogant,
I get what you're saying,
but you
though.
know what I mean. Like I'm
Yeah.
still arrogant, but I'm like more like all right, like. You ain't who you think you are. Relax, like, but at the same time you are. It's kind of like GNX just dropped. I don't know if you heard Kendrick's new album, but
Yeah, a little bit of it.
he said it on like one of the songs, like know who you are. Like if you like, don't let nobody tell you you're not a god or whatever. Like I don't say wouldn't sit here and say I'm a god, but like I'm not gonna hear somebody tell me I'm not at the same time type shit, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah, I guess. I know. I get where you're going at, though, for
Yeah,
sure.
like-
And so, do you kind of live life like in the present? Like, there's no, like, you know how people say like, live for today because you don't know what tomorrow's gonna look like. Is that how you live your life now?
kinda.
Okay.
So when I was way back, like, you know, when I moved to New York, I had a Foot Locker manager. I'll never forget him. His name, he's like actually one of
I
my.
remember you worked there. Yes. Okay.
I had a manager. He's actually still on my resume, like as a reference. But his name
Okay.
shout out to Brian, man. His name's Brian Riddick, and I'll never forget him because he used to make music too.
Okay.
And at that time, when I was making music, I had like a lot of ideas that I was trying to save for later. And he told me, I'll never forget this. He told me, don't ever save your ideas for later. Use them now, because that later may not only may not come, but what you thought would have been hitting there, you know what I'm saying, might be better now. And so I kind of think like that, like where people say, you know, live for now, but I still do plan for the future, not in a sense of holding ideas or
Yeah.
you know, my feelings or thoughts for later, but more so like just planning to have a future or
Right.
what I want to leave behind. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But still, yeah, living for now is the long story short.
I love that. Like, don't save your ideas for later. Do it now.
That's probably the best advice I've ever gotten.
Because that's kind of how I used to look at this like podcast, starting it. I've been wanting to do this since I was in college, which is, you know, years ago. And I used to think like, oh, I'm gonna do it later. Like, it's not a good time. But I'm thinking like, what if later's not a good time? Like, if I have the resources now to do it, just go for it. And I realized it wasn't even just the lack of resources. It was more so like me doubting myself with starting this and stuff. But I love that advice he gave you. So what do you think is like the biggest like lesson or takeaway you've gotten from this journey?
That's another good question. I really think it was just, like I said, kind of, I think it's just being like,
What?
I don't want to like, I think it's just knowing your worth. Long story short, I feel like it's just knowing your worth, like, but also like like I said, realizing what you can and can't achieve at the same time. But that was kind of what it was for me. It was like knowing my worth.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like in these doctor's appointments or whatever, like speaking, like advocating for myself a little bit more.
Oh,
'Cause,
yes,
like,
that's really
you know what I'm saying?
important.
That's really, exactly. So that was like something that I needed. And then just prioritize your health. Like prioritize like what you're going through, or not just your health, but whatever you're going through. So like that was like my biggest lessons is like stop putting things off. Because even though I was given that advice, I wasn't
Doing it, putting it into
I
action.
wasn't putting it into action. I wasn't utilizing it. So actually doing that is not holding my ideas or what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, anything for later, is doing it now. And
Yeah.
kinda like you said, living in the present. That was like my biggest lesson, is like kind of being here, being present.
And I think where you brought up advocating for yourself in these doctor's appointments,
Oh,
because I mean, you would hear about like people or doctors who would kind of brush things off like, oh, that's nothing. Like, don't worry about that. When it's like, it's my body.
Right.
I know what I'm experiencing. Like, what I'm telling you, you might not even understand the severity of it. What if it's something, you know, bigger than
Actually, what, like, yeah, I feel you. No, I feel you.
So I think that's important, is just advocating for yourself, because what was the saying? You're your biggest advocate?
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, so for anyone who is like struggling, whether it's their health or something else, what advice would you give them to help them to keep moving, like pushing forward?
I feel like I've been told by my lady and other women as well, like us as men have like this issue of being a problem solver. All right. And I think that's a real thing. Like sitting here with you, like I feel like to be quite honest, like, I think we as men have like that issue. Is like we always are looking logically, trying to find a solution for things. And I know, I mean, I don't want to speak for all, you know, people, but all men, but I have that issue like personally. So for me, it's really not always trying to find the solution or like, you know, the answer, because not every problem has an answer. Not every solution has like a way through it. So it's really just kind of like being like not only just present, but like being at peace with things. Like everything, like if you're going through things, like don't try to always turn that negative into a positive, no matter what it is, whether it's your health, you got your finances, something like, don't always try to find the outcome. Sometimes you need to be in that to achieve later. And then also like
I get what
find
you're
peace
saying.
with it. Like just find your peace with it, because I think Kevin Durant said something like this on like a podcast or whatever, and he was just like he doesn't strive for happiness or something like that. He strives for like I forgot what the word he used, but like being at peace because those other emotions come and go. Like being happy about or excited about something comes and goes. You know what I'm saying? Just like the negative feelings. But what
Right.
doesn't is being at peace. You find that stillness.
I know which actually I have a really close friend of mine. He always talks about that because I had a problem with always striving for happiness. Like I was the type of person like I got to do this to
Same.
make me happy. I have to like I know if I have this I'll be happy or I know if my life will go this way I will be happy. But he actually said the same thing. I don't know if he got it from Kevin Durant. He probably did. But he told me that the way he approaches life is that he doesn't try to be too happy or like he likes to like stay in that like middle space. I don't know. I guess it's like being content.
Being content, yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, those emotions like happiness, they always come and go. But when you're at the level of content, you're not really moved by a lot, I guess, if that makes sense.
I feel like it's a part of expectations. Like if you're always happy, like then you're gonna always strive for more happiness.
It's like it's kind of like
at the
you're
end of the day,
addicted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what makes you happy? Like for example, I always like my girl keeps telling me not to talk about this, but I don't care. I'm very transparent.
Okay.
Like, so because of the car accident, I just came into a good settlement of money, which is another reason why I was able to leave my job.
Gotcha.
And so I'm kind of like I said, I'm good right now, just taking care of me and mines. And I always thought money would solve all of my, like we all do. And
Yeah.
and I got it. And I'm like, oh, it's like those problems are still there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still got to deal with what I got, like real life.
Facts.
Like, so, I mean, I'm here to tell y'all money does not, I mean, it helps. Like, but it ain't.
Right, like it solves some problems, but it's not going to solve like the deeper
The happiness that, you know what I'm saying? And that's so I
Yeah.
love that, like the content, stillness, being at peace with things. That would be my best advice to give. And I'm not one to ever big bro or OG somebody, like trying to give advice. I'm just talking about, my part of my journey and my part of my experiences. But
Yeah.
that would be the best advice I could give is like really just be at peace with the life that you have or what happens. I'm not saying that things aren't going to be negative, but just like that negativity, you're going to have them positivity. And so like that positivity. And I feel like both if you find that balance, you'll be at peace.
Okay, so then this is the last question. Let me ask you this. What would you, if someone was to ask you, how do you get to that point of peace? Because that's hard.
That's a great question.
Because I sometimes still struggle with that, like just accepting things for what they are. So like what would you tell someone like on how to get to that point?
I still struggle with it too. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, I'm a master. I'm the monk.
Right.
I'm not Avatar." And you know what I mean, like Avatar Jam. But like, nah, it's just really for me. It's to be quite honest. Speaking about nerd stuff, like it's really finding things that you like that kind of influence you. So for me, it was like looking at shows or stuff like Naruto. Like, all right, I like this character, and he's always like Superman is always freaking hopeful, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I use those things. It's like, all right, well, if I would like to be a positive person, what do I look at? So whoever influences you. For me, a lot of time it's like fictional nerd stuff or whatever. Some people it's musicians, it's athletes, or whatever that person that you feel like, yo, I like their energy. I like my mentor. I strive to be like my mentor. And I'm not saying I want to be like another man, but like you like their characteristics, you like their qualities. So for me, it was like, all right, well, I see people at peace with certain things in their life. Like, how do I become at peaceful? And then I also had a therapist that said something to me that always stuck. Whenever you're not feeling like your best self, ask yourself why. Like, what do I need? What does my body, my mind, what does it require? Do you need sleep? Do you need water? Do you need, like, what do you need? Like, a healthy distraction? Like, what it is that you need? And that's helped me. So I feel like those two things is a combination of, like, healthy, like all of that stuff I just mentioned from my therapist, asking myself what I need.
Yeah.
And then people or fiction or whatever that I look to that inspires me.
Gotcha. So like looking to the people who influence or inspire you and kind of like consuming what their interviews or like things like their books. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like
okay.
stuff like that. Like any media aspect that I feel like or person that you like feel inspired by. I feel
Gotcha.
like looking at they say it all the time, like, don't hang out with who you want to hang, like who,
right.
Hang out with the people you want to, like, kind of like that same mentality is just like put myself in their shoes. Like, all right, well, like my mentor, for example, he's a really positive like, well, how did he get to that? I know he's been through a lot. Well, I'm going through something now. So like, okay, well, that's kind of like what helped me get at peace. Everybody's like journey, I feel like, to peace or tranquility.
It's going to be different.
That's kind of what helped me. But that would be my best advice on how to try to get there. Is just search for those things or research those things that inspire you, and then asking yourself what it is that you require, like to achieve that piece. Like, all right, well, I'm not getting enough sleep. Well, I need more sleep. Or I'm not getting enough time with my family, so I need more time. Like, whatever it is that makes you happy,
Gotcha.
look for it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story,
you.
Jam. I really appreciate it because I know it was like a very vulnerable time that you've been through. So yeah, I really appreciate you being on here and just talking through it with me.
No, thank you for having me and letting me, like tell you part of my experiences, part of my journey. I
Yeah, of
appreciate you
course.
having
Thank
me on.
you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, y'all. So I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.